the Second Coming by W.B. Yeats. A kind of a cult poem, we can say, a poem which is cited so many times, and people refer to this poem on several occasions, and a very interesting poem also. Some of the very memorable lines are also written in this, which are worth citing on various occasions also. As a part of our new critical reading, without going deep into any other aspects, a few things about the author we are aware now. So we obviously can connect everything of 20th century or W.B. Yeats with World War. We can't escape now from connecting things with the world wars. Whenever we talk about the 20th century literature, it is nearly impossible for us to see that we can forget the trauma of both the world wars, or the anxieties that the people might have felt, the creative minds might have felt, the sensitive minds feel much deeper things, and they say that. But we'll try to see that, let us approach the language of the poem and try to see what are we getting as images, metaphors, and what is the central idea that we are getting from this poem here. Yeah, let us see this here, the Second Coming. Okay, can anybody tell me when is it written? The date of the publication of this poem?
1990.
1919. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. These are the years of W.B. Yeats. Yeah, and poem, and that is obviously very near at the end of the World War. Okay. Okay, this poem. Let us see what are we getting here. Let me maximize it a little bit so we can have, okay, focus. Okay, turning and turning into the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood deemed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely, second part, surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming. Hardly are those words out when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight. Somewhere in sands of the desert. Somewhere in sands of the desert. A shape with lion body and the head of a man. A shape with lion body and the head of a man. A gaze blank and pitiless as the sun. A gaze blank and pitiless as the sun is moving its slow thighs, while all about it real shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again. But now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast, last sentences,
is the question. Yeah. What rough beast is our come around at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. This is the poem, the second coming. So,
what sorts of images are coming in the mind when you think of this poem? What are the images that come in your mind? Yes, anybody would like to say? What kind of visualization you are getting? What is that first sense or overall feeling of reading the poem once? Or no feeling? Any images come? Like, I think lion you might have heard. Yes, at least one strong image is that of lion. Yeah. But it is a shape with lion body and the head of a man. So body of lion and head of a man. So I think you can visualize half animal, half human. Any other things that comes when you read a poem? Well, let us see again. Let us try to read again then, yeah, right from the beginning, and try to understand some of
the images here. Yeah. Turning and turning in the widening gyre. Now, what is this? How do we understand this beginning line? Turning and turning in the widening gyre.
Gyre means something that is spiral, something spiral. You can imagine vantor. વાવાઝોડામાં જે વંટોળ થાય, that is a kind of the eruption of the air circulation, which keeps on moving very strongly, powerfully in a circular spiral way. That is gyre. That is gyre. Turning and turning, yes, turning and turning in the widening gyre, the gyre that is becoming stronger and stronger. And if you imagine such a kind of what we call it, cyclone, the cyclone, then it becomes so powerful that it can lift houses, cars, vehicles in that gyre. In that gyre, everything can be lifted up by air. That is how you can imagine this. So see, the very first image is very apocalyptic image. Apocalyptic image you see here. And what do we mean by apocalyptic? Apocalyptic image, if I use this word, what do you mean by that? Apocalypse. Yes, you can put the meaning in the chat also. Yes, anybody? A quick search for the meaning. Apocalypse.
Vinashkari.
Vinashkari, yes, you can say Vinashkari. When you, for example, see this image of apocalypse, then you will find such kind of images of a kind of destruction. Apocalypse. If you search in Google image, okay, these are the kind of an images that you get. Apocalypse of a kind of a total destruction. So that is how one. Anybody else? Anybody has put into comment anything? Any other describing or prophesying the complete destruction of the world? Yes, describing or a kind of a prophecy, something about the future world, which tries to say about the destruction of the world. Apocalyptic films. There are a lot many apocalyptic films. Have you seen any apocalyptic films? Apocalyptic films, have you seen any? Anybody? You can put in the chat also. Any idea? Anybody about any of the apocalyptic film or literature which speaks about this? The end, the second coming and the end of the life on earth. Is that the name of the film? Khushbu has put in the comment.
No, sir, not the name of the film. It is the meaning of that apocalypse.
Meaning of the apocalypse. Okay, apocalypse means like something describing, prophesying complete destruction of the world. Yeah, end of the earth, that you can see. The second coming is why it is hanging there. That is that you can explain why second coming and end of the life on earth you are saying.
Means it is might be the coming of Jesus Christ.
No, but I'm what I'm asking. Apocalypse. I'm not asking about the meaning of the poem. I'm asking about because see, if you do you imagine that Jesus Christ will come and the world will be destroyed? If you think by the second coming as the coming of Jesus Christ, can we say that, well, that sense is like then the world will be destroyed? It will be the end of the life on the earth? Yes, Khushbu?
Means when the world ends, then something new is born. No, means one side we can say the end, then there is the new beginning.
So when the world will end, then Jesus Christ will come, or the coming of Jesus Christ will end the world?
Jesus Christ is a myth or something like that, but that has already happened in the past.
Yeah, okay.
But here we can say that if the destruction happens, then the new things will begin.
Okay.
So it means to say that after destruction, there is new beginning.
Okay, okay, fine. But okay, apocalyptic film. Anybody has seen any apocalyptic films? Or
That Ravan film.
Ravan film? Okay, Ra.1.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
Ra.1.
okay, Ra.1. You can think of that. Okay, then. Because apocalypse in 20th century literature also is something very significant. Because this World War captures the imagination of the people in a similar way, to speak about that. There was this film 2012, Doomsday. 2012, Doomsday is there. Then zombie films are there, many times zombie films. Then about Ice Age, Water World, Ice Age, Water World. There is this novel also, which is made into a film. The Road, The Road. The Road is a very interesting post-apocalypse novel, and also a film, Netflix film is The Road. There. Okay. Now, the concern was this, that if you have seen anything, then I wanted to ask that what is our imagination when we are making, we means human beings, when we are making films, be it from Hollywood or Bollywood, what is our imagination of apocalypse? That how is this world going to end, or what are the threats that humanity is facing in terms of apocalypse? That is what we want to see. So if you see water world, then the imagination is that everywhere there will be water only. There won't be any land. and people will have to learn to live only on water. So that is one imagination, that when the ice will melt, and all this Antarctica and everything will melt, there will be water everywhere, and all the land will be submerged into water, and then what kind of life people will have? And so many people will die, or terrible tsunami comes in ocean. Tsunami comes in ocean, and everything is water. And then there are people who are making huge ship, where the rich people, super rich people, the political leaders, they all will be assembled and put in that huge ship. The other people will die. The other people will die, but the rich and powerful will be saved. That is how our imagination is working. That is 2012. The film 2012 will tell you this story. There's the huge ship is being made, and then all the rich and powerful people will come from the entire world, and they will sit in that, and then there will be a huge deluge, and then the world will end, but few people, rich and powerful, will be saved. Or there will be a sudden snow age, and everything will start freezing very quickly. The cold waves will come, and then how people struggle to survive this. Now all these films try to speak about the apocalypse that is going to come from nature. It is the wrath of the nature, melting of snow, or the ice age. Everything will become snow, everything will freeze. These are, so today our imagination is thinking in terms that we have to be very careful about what we are doing with nature. Otherwise our survival on the earth is going to be very difficult, because we won't be able to fight with the changing environment, and somewhere we are responsible for damaging the cycle of the nature somewhere there. And that is why all these films are trying to draw our attention to that idea. Today when we are sitting in pandemic, in the high time of the pandemic that we are sitting, and many people are dying outside our virtual classrooms in India. Large number of people are dying here today. At that time also, this we are living in apocalyptic time. We never know when we will get infected with the virus. We are constantly living under the threat. If we feel that, imagine that, then you know that we have to be so careful, wearing mask and other kinds of all this protective gears we have to keep. And yet we are afraid that we may get the things, and then what may happen if people are infected? Then you are not getting oxygen bottles, you may not get the bed, you may not get the doctors, and sudden deaths, which are every day we are seeing that is happening. As we know now that the cricketers also got the virus. So even if you are playing games and your heart, your lungs are powerful, you are fit, doesn't mean that the virus will spare you. Sportsmen, as we know, that they are very fit. So it doesn't mean that if you are very fit, then the virus will pardon you. Virus do not discriminate about anything, rich or poor, or this country or that country, this color or that color, this caste or that caste, or fit or unfit. Whatever or whoever you are, the virus can infect. And so because of that, IPL tournament has been postponed now. It was an entertaining tournament, and when so many people are dying, it was very surprising to see that some people are entertaining themselves by watching the matches on television, and seeing that it is a good time pass when there are lots of bad messages are coming of so many deaths. It is good to entertain ourselves by watching the IPL matches. Well, sanity prevailed somewhere, and it is good that it is withdrawn. It is good that it is stopped at this point. But we are in apocalypse. We are in the midst of apocalypse. That is what we have to see, that so many people are dying, so many fires are burning outside in India at so many places. There, the cremation grounds are constantly burning the dead bodies. A very rare thing to imagine that such kind of things may happen. We have seen film like Virus, or Contagion. Contagion film, have you seen Contagion film? Contagion. film Contagion. Let me show the screen. Yeah, if you can. This film. This is the nothing spreads like fear. Is the tagline of this, and Contagion film. Last year, this was very much popular. People are talking a lot about Contagion because I think this film was released around 2012, 2012, 13. I think the film was released 11, yeah, 2011 film, almost 10 years back. But the kind of a narration that film was portraying, it really started happening in 2020. The way we were living, or we are living now in India, if you see the story, it goes very similar that this is actually the life that we are living. So how this filmmaker has portrayed such a reality in advance, such a reality, how they were able to portray, that is worth watching. If you have not seen, you should not miss this. And the another film is Virus. Film Virus is a Malayali film. Yeah, it is a Malayali film. Yeah, let me share this. This is the poster of the film Virus. Here you see this. Yeah? And this film is based on there was the virus attack in Kerala. I think 2018, 17, 18, I think it was the year where there was a virus attack in Kerala only, and 2 districts were affected. 2 districts of Kerala were affected, and how Kerala government, their medical services, and they fought in tracing the patient. 0 patient is to be identified. So you can come to know that where the patient has gone, and you can track, you can trace it, you can track it, and then you can cure it. This is how it works in pandemic. So this is again a very interesting film. But apocalypse of our time is virus, is pandemic, is contagion, that the disease that spread through airborne viruses, touch, and other things. There we have to maintain this 2 gaj ki duri, 2 gaj ki duri we have to maintain with the people, another thing there. But if you have not seen both these films, then it is strongly recommended that without missing any time, you should watch both the film. You understand our time. Our time can be understood in a proper way. We are living in apocalypse time. We are living there. Okay, so this poem also is you can say turning into the widening gyre. It gives us an image of apocalypse. Apocalypse image is given here.
And then there is the sentence, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Now there is a metaphor that is used here. Falcon means, falcon?
It's a bird.
Okay, bird. What kind of bird? Sparrow?
No, on which the hunting.
Yes.
On which the hunting is done.
The bird with the help of which hunting is done. Yes, hunting is. So, what are these birds? Can you name any of the birds which are easy for us to visualize? That we can visualize. Okay, eagle. Yeah, Bhumika has commented. You can say eagle. Yeah, eagle, kite, falcon. That are the birds used for hunt. Falcon cannot hear the falconer. Falconer means the one who controls the bird. No, so the bird is into widening gyre, and is flying in a circular way up above in such a way that the bird is not able to listen the falconer, the call of the controller. Things fall apart. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Everything is disintegrating, and the center is not able to hold the things. Things are falling apart, everything is disintegrating. The center is not able to hold the things there. You obviously can connect this with today's situation in India also, that the way the virus is spreading and everything is disintegrating, everything is falling apart, and lots of struggle is being done by governments and medical practitioners to see that everything do not get completely destroyed. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood deemed tide, blood deemed tide, tide એટલે મોજું, દરિયાનું મોજું, but it is blood deemed. It looks like very bloody. Blood deemed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. બધું જ તણાઈ રહ્યું છે, deluge, drowned. Lots of water, the tides, tsunami kind of thing. And what is drowned? Ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. The best people are confused what to do, and the worst are full of passionate intensity. In today's time, if you want to read this, then we can say that the best are wearing mask and staying inside the home, and the worst are roaming out without wearing mask, doing great many rallies and shouting that all lakhs of people are coming to listen me. I see people everywhere. There is not a sign of land, empty land. All is full with people. That is what people are shouting. And not many other laymen also are just roaming and passing their time in crowds where they are not supposed to sit in the crowd, but they still sit there. In many cities there is lockdown, mini lockdown, and so only essential services are open. All other shops are closed. What are all these people doing? જેમની દુકાનો બંધ રાખવાનું કહેવામાં આવ્યું છે, એ લોકો શું કરે છે? એ ભેગા થઈને ટોળે બેસે છે. They are talking with other people. It is better they sit in their shop rather than they assemble in groups outside and pass their time. So they are becoming super spreaders. So these are the best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Revelation. We can see that maybe it is time for an avatar to get birth. The avatar is, this is yada yada hi dharmasya. This is the time that has come, that now adharma is spread everywhere. Everywhere there is adharma. Mere anarchy has loosed upon. All are adharmic. All are practicing wrong things. And so it is the time for the avatari purush to take birth, or the second coming of, according to Christianity, Jesus Christ. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming. Yeah.
Now here we again have to connect with the biblical reference, which obviously said that it is promised in the Bible that the first time when Adam and Eve committed a sin of disobedience and they have eaten from the tree of knowledge, a fruit of the tree of knowledge, God was very angry and punished. The punishment was given to Eve and Adam. As we have discussed earlier, Eve was given punishment that she will have to give birth to the children out of great pain from her body. That was the punishment to the Eve, and Adam will have to toil in the field for the food of the hungry people. The children will be very hungry and they will always be asking for the food, and he will have to keep on toiling in the field because 3-4 times people will get hungry. We also have a very interesting metaphor for this also, that people are going to Shiv, Lord Shiv, and is asking that what to do, and Lord Shiv told to the people that you should take 3 times bath and 1 times food. God told that, and Nandi was the messenger. Nandi the bull was the messenger, and messenger made a mistake. And messenger made the mistake, and the messenger told the people that eat 3 times and take 1 time bath. And then and the people said that, well, now how to toil in the field to make such a large amount of grains that we can feed everybody 3 times. You told, so we all are getting hungry 3 times. And so then God told to Nandi that you go and take birth. You help them in the farming. So we are using bull in the farming. The oxes are used in the farming. Oxen are used in the farming. And that is the punishment given by Lord Shiv to bull. That is the punishment given by the justice system of God is very surprising. We complain about our human justice. Human judges are taking lots of time. Tariq pe tariq, tariq pe tariq. Now imagine about the justice of the God, whether it is biblical God or our Lord Shiv, what kind of punishments they give to humans and to animals also, to humans and to animals also. And Eve's punishment is carried by all the female, all this female species also. The cow also has to suffer. The Dell also has to suffer. All the female species also have to suffer because Eve has eaten the fruit of knowledge. Because Eve has eaten a kind of the question that we always get into justice system that comes in our stories. Either it is from the divinely beings in any of the religions there. So that was the first. God became very angry. And then he told, when people said that, well, as normally happens, people go to God again and say that, well, we request you do something, your punishments are severe. Then God told that after 2000 years, my son will take a birth and then he will undergo penance for the sins that you have done. And after 2000 years of that event, Jesus Christ is born. And then he is suffering on the earth. But he is giving the message that with all kinds of suffering also, you have to remember the God, you have to keep on loving people. Even with all kinds of sufferings, you are here to love people. Love thy neighbor. Have compassion for the other people. That was his ultimate message. That even if they are bad with you, even if they hit you on one cheek, offer another cheek. This was Jesus. This was not Mahatma Gandhi. This was Jesus Christ who told that if somebody is hitting on your one cheek, you offer the another cheek. બીજા ઉપર મારે તો વાહો આપો વાંસો કે લો તમે તમારે તબલા વગાડો. But you keep on. But you should not bounce back. That is Jesus Christ. He suffered. He was terribly under pain, carrying the cross, reaching to the mountain. And yet he told that God, forgive these people because they don't know what they are doing. Forgive this all people because they don't know what they are doing. So even in the last minute of that pain and the agony when he was dying, he had no complaint for those people. He has no bad words for those people. He was still requesting to the God that pardon them because they don't know what they are doing. That is the ultimate message that God sent to us through Jesus and told that if you will do this, you will be happy. You will do this, you will be happy. And then after 2000 years, if things are still not controlled and you are still not obedient and doing all this thing, then again there will be second coming. Then again I will send my son to cleanse your sins. તમારા પાપ ધોવા માટે ઈશ્વર એમ કહે છે કે હું મારા સંતાનને મોકલીશ તમારા પાપ ધોવા માટે. And so in 20th century, the Christians are waiting for the second coming. The Christians are waiting for the second coming. The Indians are waiting for Kalki Avatar. Indians are waiting for the Kalki Avatar, which is said that he will come on the white horse, wearing the white clothes and other ways that it may come. And that's how the promise is about this. So second coming
has this Christian connection. Hardly are those words out when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight. What is Spiritus Mundi? Spiritus Mundi.
Sir, it is an image with body of lion and the head of a man.
No, Spiritus Mundi. What do we mean by that?
Outlook or point of view,
Hmm.
social or cultural thing.
Okay, still not clear, still not clear.
Are you trying to find the meaning? Spiritus Mundi. Yeats has written a book, The Vision, The Vision, where he is imagining a kind of spirituality and other things, where he refers. So there is that reference to that work also. His wife also was a believer in occult kind of a thing. And so they were to some extent connected with those occultism also. And from where he got this idea about Spiritus Mundi. Yes, anybody able to see the meaning? Find it? Are you trying? Then we can wait. If you are not trying, then we should not waste our time. Okay, Bhumika, there are some comments there. Okay. Nidhi is a Latin term that literally means world spirit. Yes, world spirit. Yeah? You can say Vishwa Atma. Vishwa Atma. Vishwa Atma. In Spiritus Mundi, there is, according to William Butler Yeats, a universal memory, and a muse of sorts that provides inspiration to the poet or writer. So it is a kind of a memory bank, and from you are connected with that memory bank, and you derive your inspiration from poets, creative writers. They get connected with this world spirit, and you derive your inspiration from those things. So for example, you can say that when a scientist will got this vaccination, so from where he got that idea? He got it from Spiritus Mundi. It was already there. It was already. So the maker of the entire world, he has made the virus also and the antidote also, but it takes time for us to reach there. When the virus comes, and then somebody will reach there. It's a very occult kind of a thing, occult, mystical kind of an idea, that there is a collective memory of everybody. There is one spirit of the entire world. પૂરા વિશ્વનો એક આત્મા છે, એમની એક memory છે, એની સાથે આપણે જોડાયેલા છે અલગ અલગ રીતે. That is that concept here. Okay? Bhumika was a term used by describe collective soul. Yeah, collective soul or universe of the universe containing the memories of all time. Yes, collective. And Carl Jung used the word collective unconscious. Carl Jung, psychologist, used the word collective unconscious for this. We will come back to this idea in Northrop Frye's essay also. Northrop Frye's essay, The Archetypes of Literature. In that study also, we will come back to this idea about Spiritus Mundi. So now I think you got idea. Spiritus Mundi means a collective memory, or one spirit of the entire world. Akha Vishwano ek Atma. Like we have this concept of Param Atma. And all Atmas are supposed to have a journey towards that Param Atma. And all other Atmas are connected with Param Atma. So that Param Atma, that Vishwa Atma, that is Spiritus Mundi. And we all derive our inspiration, our metaphors, our motivations, our spirit to live life in whatever capacities from this source, that is Spiritus Mundi. Okay?
So he says that hardly are those words about second coming out when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight somewhere in the sands of the desert. So
what he says is that as soon as I remember this, from my Spiritus Mundi, the image is coming out. From my that collective universal memory, myself is connected with that, and I get an image. And that image is about, is like, which is troubling my sight. This image that is coming from Spiritus Mundi is troubling my sight. It is a very apocalyptic image that is coming. The second coming, which is supposed to be of some Avatari Purush, or the son of the God, the second avatar of Jesus Christ, or whatever we say, it is supposed to be very beautiful image. It is not supposed to be apocalyptic. But that is what is not coming from Spiritus Mundi. It is not showing me that somebody riding the horse or with a basuri in the hand is coming with more pitch in his mugat, and he is with a smiling face is coming. No, that is not the image that is coming out of Spiritus Mundi. And what is that? It is a very troubling sight. It's a very troubling sight
that is coming there. Yeah, somewhere in sands of the desert, somewhere in the sands of the desert, a shape with lion body and the head of a man. Yeah? And this is like Sphinx. So when you search the image, you obviously find this image from in the Egypt. There are pyramids, Egypt pyramids, which you find that the lion and the human body, you find that huge statues made in that way. A gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, and the gaze of that lion body, head of a man, is pitiless. It's pitiless. એમાં કોઈ કરુણા નથી, compassion નથી. It is the gaze and the look ekdam blank છે, pitiless as the
sun. Now this is very surprising that how do we imagine the image of sun? કે સૂરજ શું આપણી સામે એવી રીતે જુએ છે જાણે કોઈ એને દયા નથી આપણા ઉપર. pitiless, એકદમ blank gaze સૂર્યનો છે, કે આપણે એમ જોઈએ કે સૂર્ય એક મમત્વ સાથે આપણી સામે જુએ છે, એ આપણી કેર રાખતો હોય એ રીતે છે. આપણે કઈ રીતે સૂરજને જોઈએ? How do we see that? I don't know whether you have seen this small videos about the biography of Virginia Woolf. Small videos are there about a small 30 minutes of biography of Virginia Woolf. If you have not seen, I will share link of that thing which you can see. Therein it is given that one old man is giving an interview. એક વૃદ્ધ વ્યક્તિ અને કહે છે કે અમે વર્જિનિયા વુલ્ફના I think nephews, દૂરના એમના nephews હતા. Virginia Woolf, when she used to come to us, it was very good time. એ આવે ત્યારે બહુ મજા આવે. અને કઈ રીતે તો કે we were little kids, પણ એ અમને જાતના પ્રશ્નો પૂછે. She keeps on asking us lot many things. એટલે એવું પૂછે કે આજે સવારે ઉઠ્યા તો કેવું લાગ્યું? તો એ કે બહુ મજા આવી. પણ મજા તો કે કયા પ્રકારની મજા આવે? આ સૂરજ તમને કેવો લાગ્યો આજ સવારે? સૂરજ ના પ્રકાશ આવે ને તમારે ઉઠવું પડે તો તમને સૂરજ કેવો લાગે? કદાચ ન પણ ગમે. આપણને એમ થાય કે આ પડદો પાછો નાખી દો, આ આંખમાં ખૂંચે છે. એ સૂરજ આપણને ન ગમતો હોય તો કે એવું પૂછે કે આ સૂરજ તમને કોમળ લાગ્યો, મિત્ર જેવો લાગ્યો કે દુશ્મન જેવો લાગ્યો? How do you feel the sun rays? That minutely she used to ask. Writers wanted to experience all those things so that you can be written in detail about everything. So how do we feel about sun? The rising sun, the setting sun, મધ્યાહનનો સૂર્ય કેવો લાગે? કદાચ સાંજનો સૂર્ય આપણને બહુ ગમતો લાગે, કદાચ વહેલા ઉઠી ગયા હોય તો વહેલો સવારનો સૂરજ પણ બહુ ગમતો લાગે, પણ મધ્યાહનનો સૂરજ તો આવો જ લાગે. Blank gaze, a pitiless blank gaze. That way perhaps we can see. એમાં ઉનાળા વૈશાખનો તડકો હોય, આ મે મહિનાનો જે તડકો હોય, એમાં આપણે સૂરજને સામે જોવા જઈએ કે તું કેવું મારી સામે જુએ છે તો આપણને બ્લાઇન્ડ કરી દે. We are blind. આપણે બીજી થોડી સમય તો બીજું કાંઈ જોઈ ન શકીએ, એવું ધાબુ પડી દે આપણી આંખમાં. એક બ્લેન્કનેસ આપણી અંદર એ આવી જાય. So that is an image. That is how the poet
is trying to visualize the pitiless blank gaze in the sun. Is moving its slow thighs. This lion human image is slowly moving with thighs, while all about it real shadows of the indignant desert birds, and everything about it is very frightening, very dull, frightening, that we can see there. The darkness drops again. Now it is again the time of darkness, drops again. But now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep, now you can understand 20 centuries, biblical reference, were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. This new birth, the cradles, Godyu, cradle, the rocking cradle, and it is very nightmarish. This new birth in the cradle is nightmarish. And the question, last one, what rough beast, its hour come around at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. Bethlehem, what is the reference here? Why Bethlehem here?
The birthplace of Jesus.
Yeah, birthplace of King David, Jesus Christ. So the direct reference obviously is now coming here, that it is had the Christian imagery that it come, that if this is the second coming, this is a terrible, terrible second coming. If this is what was promised to us, this is a terrible promise. This is a terrible promise. Well, so now we can say that obviously this poem has a very strong references that come from
what we can see is the idea about World War. Okay, that obviously is something that is troubling to the poet, that this World War and what happened is something like this. Everything, things are falling apart, center cannot hold, the entire civilization is crumbling down now, and nobody is there to hold the things. That is that the World War, as we have seen in our discussion, itself is an end result of the fall of civilization. Fall of civilization. When there are no people left to talk about sanity, દહાપણની વાત કરનારા જ્યારે કોઈ ન રહે ત્યારે પછી યુદ્ધો ફાટી નીકળતા હોય છે, and that is how we can say that everything is falling apart. 2000 years of Christian religion, and 500-600 years of European civilization, everything has disintegrated. At the end of the day, you find that what has religion done for us? Ultimately, even the 2000 years of religion is also not able to save us, is not able to give us any sanity, that we should not fight and be bloodthirsty. The religion which is based on Jesus Christ, who told the message about have compassion, pity, love. Even if somebody is beating you, offer another cheek. This all things were told. Now we have all forgotten. So everything is loosed, and that is the thing there. Ceremony of innocence is drowned. Innocence is now almost valueless in this time, and that's how. So that is one reference that we can see here. And apart from this,
the critics have read that this poem is also rooted in a couple of things, like when he started writing this poem, when W.B. Yeats started writing this poem, it is said that he was in a very tense mood. He was in a very tense mood. He was not going through a normal phase of life. Like in T.S. Eliot, we have seen that he himself wrote in a letter that his wife's relations with other men, the sexual behavior of his wife, and his impotency is somewhere responsible for the birth of the Westland. The mental states of T.S. Eliot were something like that, from where the Westland is coming out. So what was the mental state of W.B. Yeats when it is coming? So obviously it is this eventful month of January 1919. That was that. Now it was the First World War, obviously is there, was barely over. It is the end days of the First World War. And then the Russian Revolution also is going on, which dismayed him, still unfolding, while another war was brewing up his doorstep. So while the one world war is not ended, the Russian Revolution and the Second World War is brewing on his doorstep. On 21st January, 1919, the revolutionary Irish Parliament met in Dublin. Dublin is the capital, their city in Ireland, to declare independence. While inquiry in Tipperary, members of the Irish Revolutionary Association killed 2 officers of the Royal Irish Constabulary. The birth, so this was another event that was going on there. So the Irish revolutionaries are also fighting Russian Revolution, the World War, very turmoiled time, very turmoil. Lots of problems are happening in and around there. And in that, there is something very interesting to connect with our time. That was this observation that at the same time, during the same time, birth of Yeats's daughter, Annie, in February, was also freighted with danger. During her pregnancy, his young wife, Georgie Hyde-Lys, had been stricken by the Spanish flu that was burning through Europe. And all these events conspired to put Yeats in an apocalyptic frame of mind. All this together, this all things. But in all these things, this reading of Spanish flu, the influence of influenza in the making of Second Coming is very interesting. Up till now, we were reading this poem as, obviously one of the thematic reading is civilization, chaos and control, or the Christian reading of this poem, morality and Christianity, that all is fine. All this reading, or World War and the effect of that is also fine. We can see that. But apart from that, now in today's time, because we are in pandemic, we are very curious to read that what was the influence of the Spanish flu in 1918, 1919, and how it also shaped the literature of the modern days. How was that shaped? And so we have the works like viral modernism. Yes, viral modernism. Let me share the screen. Yeah. We partly referred to this work earlier also. And this work, viral modernism. The book cover can be seen here. Okay. Yes, viral modernism, the influenza, pandemic, and interwar literature. That is by Elizabeth Autka. Elizabeth Autka, the viral modernism, the influenza, pandemic, and interwar literature. In this work, there are some interesting observations which are made there. So I'm reading a part of the thing from this reference here. So, for example, the Yeats's poem, The Second Coming, and this line, that's the one that starts with turning and turning in the widening gyre, falcon cannot hear the falconer. That's a canonical poem. He wrote it in 1919, and it has been read quite rightly as sort of poem that captures the terrible aftermath of World War, First World War, and all the revolutions, the Irish Revolution, the Russian revolutions that were going on at the time, the political violence in Ireland, and all those violences. And up till now, that poem was read in that context. And one more context that was given, that was religious context about the Christianity. So when you want to read the lack of spirituality and the violence that is happening, then also this poem was used by many of the things. So up till now, it was read in these two contexts. One was the political context of various revolutions and World War. Second was the religious context in which the poem was read. And now we are opening to this third reading of this poem in the context of the immediate pandemic that we are going. But in the weeks preceding his writing of the poem, his wife, Georgie, who was pregnant, caught the virus and was very close to death. The pregnant wife was very close to that because of the Spanish flu, caught the viral infection. The highest death rates of 1918-19 pandemic were among pregnant women. In some areas, it was up to 70% death rate of these women. So lot many pregnant women were dying in those days. Almost 70% of the women were dying. Just really terrible. He was watching this happen, and while his wife was convalescing, he sits down and writes the second coming. So while the wife is recovering from the flu infection and pregnancy, and you are reading so many people dying in that state of pregnancy, this poem is being written by the poet. When you read it through the lens of the pandemic, now you need to read this poem through the lens of pandemic. When you read it through the lens of the pandemic, this other poem begins to emerge. This another third reading. First reading, political war, revolutions. Second reading, religious reading. Second coming. Now the third poem starts emerging here. You could see the way such a poem could resonate with people who have experienced this pandemic. The people who have experienced this pandemic. This atmosphere, things are falling apart. The center cannot hold. An atmosphere of mere anarchy loosed upon the world. The threat in that first stanza is all in the passive voice. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed. Yes? The blood-dimmed tide is loosed. The ceremony of innocence is drowned. This amorphous threat coalesces into this vague sort of lurching beast at the end. It's a terrific description of pandemic. Now you suddenly start reading that this beast which is coming at the end, the slouches, the beast that slouches towards Bethlehem, something that is born. This is virus that is born. This shape of a lion body, the head of a man. It is hallucination. The virus is invisible. The virus is invisible. You just imagine what kind of shape the virus may come, but out of hallucination, the frightening dream. Hallucination means very frightening dream from where this image is emerging. Then specific imagery like the blood-dimmed tide, when one of the most frequent effects of this flu was bleeding from the nose, mouth and ears. So when lots of bleeding is happening because of the effect of this influenza, the specific image, blood-dimmed tide, can easily be connected with that. Just floods of blood. It is all flooding. The blood is flooding from the body. And then the way people drowned in their beds, the way people drowned in their beds, they drowned in blood in the beds, from their lungs filling up with fluid, the lungs filling up with fluid. Today also we have the problem with the lungs being filled with the coronavirus, and then people are not able to breathe, they are breathless. And then the way people drowned in their beds from their lungs filling up with fluid. And he has a line about the ceremony of innocence being drowned, the ceremony of the innocence being drowned, when it's his wife and unborn baby who were in the process of drowning like that. Well, today we know that we have made very interesting, catchy lines for our corona times. And are you able to get my voice? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And, yeah. And these lines are that the punishment of the past card holders is being suffered by the ration card holders. The punishment of the passport holder is being suffered by the ration card holder, because the coronavirus virus spreads through people. But who are these people who travel in different countries? The people who travel, those who went to Wuhan, they all took this virus to Italy and then to all European countries and then to America and to India also. The people who traveled to China, they brought virus. So the people who travel, those people who are having passports, they are super rich people. So the idea is that the punishment of the crimes of the rich people is paid by the poor people. And then we have seen so many poor people on the road, dying on the road, crushed by trains, and the rotis, chapatis lying there. And it is the poor who suffered a lot, and the poor who are suffering a lot nowadays also. The rich will get a better hospital facilities, but the poor are dying in rickshaws, on the roads, and lot many images you might be seeing where who are ultimately suffering are these people. So innocence, ceremony of the innocence. This is the drowning of the ceremony of the innocence that we see in this. So now did Yeats have this at the top of his mind when he was writing this poem? We can question this, that was it the influence of pandemic? Was it the influence of Spanish flu that was at the top of his mind, rather than the political movements of revolutions of Irish people or the Russian people, or the First World War, which was in the dying phase at this time? Or was it the religious ideas that he was just pondering upon the second coming, the promise given by the Bible? Or was it this? Perhaps Autka, Elizabeth Autka wants to tell us that maybe this was at the top of his mind. We don't know exactly what might be in the mind of W.B. Yeats, who is no more with us, but it certainly captures the horror and the delirium of the pandemic time. The poem surely captures the horrors and the delirium of the pandemic times. And as we are living in the pandemic time, it is very much important for us to read this poem with pandemics in mind, with the pandemics in mind. And there is a very interesting connection, that is the biographical connection here. So finally, again, we can make this comment here that we can read the poem without any connection, and when I read the poem without any other connections, I will read Second Coming with a biblical reading only, because that metaphor of the second coming is very powerful in the minds of everybody. So you are supposed to read, if you do verbal reading, the new critical reading, then obviously your mind will be diverted towards the religious reading of this poem. But you will be in shock. You will be shocked to see that while this beast is being portrayed, why the beast is portrayed here? Why not somebody is as good as Jesus, or somebody riding the horse as an Avatari Purush is coming? But there is something like a lion body, head of a man, a gaze blank, pitiless gaze. Darkness is dropping. There is stony sleep of 20 centuries. Vis sadio ni ungh ema dekhai che. Stony sleep. This nightmare of rocking cradle comes, and then this beast, jungli janwar, this beast, jungli janwar, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. Why this very cruel image is given? So people try to connect that maybe because the time in which it is written is about war, and so poet might be in drawing our attention that what have we done out of our religion, what have we learned out of our religion. Yeah? So that is immediate reading that people do. Now when we come to know that the poet is involved politically into Irish movement and other, then we find that maybe he wants to say that the Irish movement, how it is going, whether they will get victory or not. 22 was the time when 1922 when the Ireland was supposed to win, but 1919 you don't know. It seems like mere anarchy is loosed upon. Imagine the same year, if you imagine in terms of the massacres that were happening in India, massacres. One of the worst massacre that India has seen was Jallianwala Bagh, and then you can see how the people, innocent people, were killed by General Dyer, the bullets of General Dyer, how it killed so many innocent. Again 1919, that also is the same here that is also happening. And if you are at that moment, you find that mere anarchy is loosed upon. Where is humanity? Who are these people? They are killing innocent people. They don't have, they are children, they are women without arms. Why are they just firing on these people? Mere anarchy is loose. So you will read those political dynamics into those things. When we come to know that this poet is involved with the Irish nationalist movement also. And then comes the pandemic times. And then when we are in the pandemic time, and then we are reminded by the historians that 100 years back, there was the terrible Spanish flu and so many people died. It is said that around 2 crores of people died in India also during that time. India also suffered a lot, and around 2 crores. We don't know. We don't have any hanging photograph of our forefathers that they died in Spanish flu. I don't think that any of your family members have ever told you the story that your forefathers, any of you, the family member, died in Spanish flu. There is almost no memory. There was almost no memory. I know I was teaching modernist literature for so many years. I also studied in my MA days modernist literature, but there was absolutely no reference to Spanish flu. When teachers were teaching about literature published in 1920, 21, 22, nobody ever questioned that why is no flu, influenza pandemic in literature? Nobody was ever questioning also. We were just drawn towards World War. Anywhere we have seen a terrible image, we thought it is World War. It is lack of religiosity. It is fall of civilization. That was the only thing that people were reading. So it seems like pandemic was almost erased from the history, of 20th century. And it is a very interesting. Now Elizabeth Autka is bringing that connection with the book Viral Modernism. And so it becomes very interesting to read. So for today's time, when we look back 100 years down the line, we have to see that what was Spanish flu doing. And so the third very interesting reading of this poem, that this poem might be the end result of the mind, the mental state, which was also suffering from influenza. In what way? Then the biographical data information helps us that Gregory, the wife, Georgie, the wife of Auden, Yeats, W.B. Yeats. Yeats and Auden are very confusing poets. Yeats, his wife was pregnant and was suffering from the virus. And there were lots of messages that 70% of the pregnant women are dying. Now, in that mental state, perhaps this poem might have come. So that might be at the top of everything when the poet is writing. But we don't know. But we don't know whether this was really the cause or not. But we have to read the literature in context of what is happening today around us here. Okay, any questions from your side? Any questions you would like to ask in this context, or you would like to add anything here? Any other questions? Anything else from your side? Okay, then we end our recording